got substance up there. The defense is going to be the question. You'll notice right away we're a lot bigger. And, we've got Anthony Potato, who was on the USHL All-Star team. I think he's an awesome defenseman. Jamie Alexiak's a 6'7", 245-pound freshman who's 17 years old. He has a good chance to be a first-round draft pick in the NHL this summer. He's going to be a work in progress. But already I've been watching him skate and watching him in the weight room. He's extremely athletic. And the third freshman that's a scholarship kid is Luke Eibler, who's to me he could be a little bit of a diamond in the rough because he got hurt quite a bit last year in the USHL. He's 6'4" and he's 180 pounds. He's very good offensively. He's a very tough kid. He's a physical player. So I think those three guys give us size, some offensive ability, and obviously some strength in front of our net. And we haven't had that in my 5 years here. We've had smaller D. The bigger guys that can skate were going out of the schools, but we've been lucky to get these guys this year. So I think early we'll have to really help out the D with the way we possess the puck and the way we help out in the back check. But as the season unfolds, I think that could be one of our strengths.
Is that from your pro background? Knowing you have some size in a league like this, such a grind. Is that on purpose that you're trying to get those kind of players?
Well, I got to be honest with you. When I came into college, I wanted to get bigger, stronger, guys that were physical. When I left the NHL, the AHL, the rules were changing. So they were allowing. Remember, that was the cutting edge, or the leading edge of when the rules went to smaller guys. They were going to allow them to skate. So we really had a choice to make as a program. We're going to get a smaller defenseman who could skate and sacrifice that size and strength to try and create that pace I wanted to play with. I think we've always been a puck pursuit team, and I chose to go with the smaller guys because we were getting those guys at bargain prices, and scholarship money wasn't laying around for us back then. There were some casualties that didn't give us a whole lot of money to recruit kids with. And quite frankly, the bigger guys like the Kobe Collins, the Shattenbergs, the Gribers, they were going to BU. They were going to BC. They were coming to Northeast. I think honestly our identity as a program has changed so much that one year where we had the 25 wins and we filled the building, which we still are now, then it was really reinforced and amplified with the great renovations to the building. That's translated really well recruiting. We're getting kids that we never thought we'd get 4 years ago.
My favorite building in hockey.
And the kids love it too. And it's so crowded. And when it's crowded, it's so wild in there. So what's happening is that the Jamie Alexiaks, the Luke Eibers, and the Potatoes, they wouldn't have come 3 years ago. But they're coming now.
This 6'7" kid, forgive me for not knowing that. Where does he come from?
He's a Toronto native, but he played in the USHL for 2 years.
In the USHL. Yeah. The USHL has really become the place to find players.
Well, I think the USHL represents honesty in recruiting. Right. You can get fooled. You can take a kid out of prep school, you can take a kid out of midget, and they can come on your campus, and right away there's a gap between what the kid is when he gets there and what he needs to be. And the USHL, that gap is visible right away. So then okay, here's what this kid needs to do to compete. The Alexiak kid was 6'7", 218 back a year ago. Okay? Stevie Folks, who played in the NHL, was coaching him. He told me right away, this kid's going to play in the NHL. He just needs to catch up with his frame. And when I had Zdeno Chara with New York, they're very similar. They have that. They're not only are they tall, most tall guys do have long limbs, but you hear the length. You described in basketball. They both have length. Not only are they tall, but they have the length. Sometimes it takes those guys a little bit longer to develop. And I've watched Jamie skate, and I'm pleased with the way he skates, the way he moves. He's got really surprisingly good hands. So we're blessed to have him.
This looks like a race this year that really this preseason poll probably means next to nothing. Right? There's so many new players and all of that. Do you get worked up at all about these things?
Sure. Care less about the preseason.
What about the WCHA? Including 6 teams already in the top 15, Greg? Is that just a league that's gotten better and better over time, or are we kind of interchangeable? They're now winning Hockey East.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's all come out with any polls or anything, but I think that I mean we played Minnesota a couple years ago, and I mean, we were like first in the Hockey East and second and third in the country, and they were like the top 6 back then. That would really be the only benchmark I could use. And it was a competitive game. I mean, it was at Mariucci, and we lost in overtime actually, but it was a terrific game. I don't know. I don't know how you can possibly do that when you compare one league and then. So we can always say we won the last 3 championships, right? Why are we not getting more respect? I think our league end up cannibalizing each other. You know, so we end up, you know, like we go 16-16, and overall we finish 9th in the league, right? But you know, you've got quality teams like Vermont. I mean, look at Maine last year; they had 19 wins. How do they not go to the NCAA tournament? You know, I mean, Vermont leapfrogging because of that power rating and all that stuff. But I think our league's terrific. I don't know what the stats are against the other leagues, but I think our league's awesome.
Thanks very much, Greg.
Okay.
Coach, looking at your own team, you know, starting from the goaltender out, you talked about, you know, maybe the extra year of experience and what Rawlings brings to your team in terms of solidity at that position.
Well, I think it was a tale of 3 seasons for him. Honestly, the first part of the year, he flirted with greatness. You know, he had a crappy game against CC, then he bounced back, have a great game, against BU, lose to BC, looked like he was completely out of it, and it happened the whole first half. Which is, you know, somebody told me before the season started that whenever you're starting a college season with a freshman goalie, you're going to white knuckle it the first couple months. You don't know what you're going to get. And then, you know, we had that game up in Vermont, we lost 9-1, and we shot him like 26-19. Okay, whatever it was, by the end of the game it was 26-22. And I thought at that point that he might have lost his confidence completely. And then, you know, we had a good talk after the game, and he went on a run. And we went on a run because he went on a run. We went like 9-1 or 8-1 on the stretch. And then the last, you know, 3 weekends, he struggled. You know, he went back to being a little bit unpredictable. So, you know, you get the seesaw thing, then you get consistency, then you get unpredictability. Somehow, you know, and Brad went through this as sophomore. Somehow he's got to take those 3 seasons, so to speak. He's got to learn from it. And he's got to try and play with consistency and be reliable. Every goalie's going to have a bad game. And one of the things that Chris has got to learn is that when he has a bad period or a bad game, it's over. Like it's in the rearview mirror, so look ahead of you. And I think if he can do that, he could be real special. Because you don't see too many guys of his size. He's extremely athletic. And he's very quick. So he's got the ingredients. It's all about his mind harnessing those things into some reliable, consistent performances.
And then your defense in front of him. You know, Newton did turn pro early, so you got a hole or 2 to fill. But can you talk about that group as a whole and who you see as the leaders?
Well, if somebody was to ask me, which you are asking me, what are our strengths in the team? I think goaltending because of the experiences he had, and then we've got 6 forwards that have all had 20 points at some point in their careers. So there's a lot of substance behind that forward ranking. But our defense, and this is kind of a funny answer, our defense is either going to be really, really good or it's going to be very, very average. And the reason why I say that is because you got Potato, who's a new freshman out of Indiana. He was an USHL All-Star. Some people say he was the best defenseman in that league. I think he's terrific. I've seen him play a number of times. You know, somebody asked me earlier about, you know, your Northeastern defense. You're getting bigger D now. I've always wanted bigger D. But we were kind of in the garage sale shop for recruits the last 2 years, so we haven't had the luxury of getting the quality big guys. So he's a 6'2", 210-pound nasty player. Like he's a smash-mouth defenseman. He's going to help us right away. Okay. The second guy is Jamie Alexiak, who's a 6'7", 245-pound, 17-year-old freshman. He played 2 years in the USHL, which is unbelievable when you think about it. He played as a 15-year-old in that league, then a 16-year-old. He skates kind of goofy. You know, he's a big, tall guy. I had Zdeno Chara when he was with the Islanders, and he was goofy back then too. But but he's like a giraffe. He's gonna get thicker. He's gonna get more coordinated. It's already starting. He's already becoming more athletic. I mean, his biggest thing is going to be his footwork and his ability to adjust to the speed of college hockey. because his size and his strength is out of this world. And the last guy is a kid named Luke Ibra, who's a 6'4". He's a 180-pound guy. He was hurt a lot in Youngstown, and we took him because Jake left. He's a very offensively gifted kid, extremely competitive. So if those three guys develop and they can be reliable and they can get an identity on our team, we're going to be great. If they don't, we'll be average because we got enough experience coming back that we'll be okay. But those guys are going to be critical to determining whether or not we finish, fifth or we finish first. Jamie. Alexiak. Last name.
Project him being able to play regularly, or is his skating going to have to come on enough to...
No, I should have rephrased that. His skating when he was on the USHL was a little bit awkward when I saw him. His skating now is very good. Like, if you watched him play, you wouldn't know he was 6'7". Some guys are 6'7", like, oh my God, that guy's tall and awkward. If you watched him practice, you wouldn't know. You'd know he was big because he's 6'7", but you wouldn't think of him as an awkward guy. We got another freshman named Hoffler, Jake Hoffler, who's 6'6", so he is awkward. Jamie's not, so you would notice both of them, but one guy would be awkward and one guy wouldn't.
So you do have some serious
Yeah, we do. I'm just tired of being small, and nothing against our guy. I mean, Jimmy Driscoll and that crew, they were very, very good at what they did. But we've got to make sure that we're defending our net and that we're difficult to play against. Our forwards have always been top, and they hunted pucks down. We're physical. We had the reputation of being physical. But our D were kind of more of a finesse group.
Can you talk about the group of forwards in terms of kind of the mix of toughness and scoring ability that you got coming back?
Well, I mean, you obviously McLeod, McNeely, those two guys are kind of the headline guys. Then you bring Quayler back, who's an NHL quality player, who's had a year off, so he's going to have to get himself back into a rhythm. The guys that for me, and Garrett Vermish was a tremendously talented guy. He had 20-something points last year, so. The two guys that dropped last year that were really big parts of the team 2 years ago were Silver and Tuckerman. They went from having 20 and 20-something points to, I don't know what they had, but it wasn't good enough. So I would say, well, there's a history, it can be repeated, right? So they've got the ability to go back and give us some of that strength offensively. The two guys that got a lot of ice time in the second half, part of it was the injuries and part of it was so that the hell with it, let's just play the guys and see what they can do with the Daniels twins. San Jose draft picks. Terrific players, very talented, very big. They were 158 pounds last year. They're 190 and 180 now. So we've got some strength out of those guys. They were like two popsicle sticks. So now we've got, with the addition of them, we've got another San Jose draft pick, Cody Ferrio, who joined us late in the summer, who's extremely talented. And then there's enough depth behind them. Mike McLaughlin's played a lot of hockey for us. I think he's going to help us. I'm missing a couple guys that are veterans, but we got Braden Pym, who comes out of the BCJHL, was in Vernon, won two national championships in Canada, and Brody Reed, who was a 50-goal scorer in that league. So there's a lot of depth there. It was more depth up front than we've ever had. And I'm really pleased with that. It's just our defense has got to wipe it quickly.
Given how close you were to actually a home ice spot last year, where do you see this team finishing up this year?
It's so funny when you say that, close to home ice we finished 9th, but we actually were, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I think that BC and Maine are clearly the odds-on favorites, with BC ahead of Maine. I think there's so much talent returning. I would feel a lot better about this team if we had an offensive, defensive returning like a Jake Newton. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting how it all matches up. It really is, because we played BC. They throttled us twice, and we were fortunate to beat them in Matthews Arena. They're the best college hockey team I've seen in a long time. I mean, I keep going back. When I was at Maine, I got there the year after the Koreas, the Ferraros, that crew, 42-1-2. Dare I say it? I mean, BC could, putting superficial pressure on Jerry or his staff, but they could get 40 wins this year. And they've got the firepower. And there was defensemen that kind of, they went through what we're going to go through this year. They're back, So I think they're clearly the thoroughbred, and I think Maine's right behind them.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck.
See you, Dave.
Hey, Coach. So obviously you got a lot of new guys coming in this year, like last year. How's it been getting those guys on the ice and getting used to your system?
Well, we haven't done much system work, just trying to get them in shape. First thing you notice is we're bigger. You know, we've got size, right? So I think that's going to help us in terms of the possession game and being able to defend. But a little bit, you know, the freshmen are a little bit like eggs, right? You don't know what they are until you play some games and they hatch and you see what you got. I do like what I see on the ice, particularly with Tim and Brody Reed and Ferrio. But you know, and Alexiak, and Teto, and Ivar, and Hoffman. I mean, it's a different kind of a feel. You go on the ice, it's more like a pro team because it's so damn big. That doesn't mean anything unless they're making points and, you know, contributing to the game.
So as far as ice time goes, obviously it's very early on, like you said, but you got an exhibition game coming up on Saturday, so has it been tough to try to get these guys on lines and figure things out for how things are going to go for a game?
Yeah, we haven't done a lot of, we haven't tried to work them into lines, because my philosophy is, start the year when you have freshmen, just put them in with some upperclassmen, so they can give them some mentorship and know what we're trying to do. I think we'll put them into lines on Saturday, represent, you know, what could be that first weekend against Providence and BC, but it's funny. Hockey's a funny game. You know, you got to make sure guys have chemistry and they play off one another well. And there's a little bit nervous. I mean, Wade and Tyler will play together, and those two have got a real good chemistry on the ice. We've got to now try and find some chemistry in the other lines.
And I talked to Steve, and you know it must be great having him back. Obviously, he had the whole year off last year. So, is he a guy that you're going to try to put back with Alex Tuckerman again? Because those two have obviously, you know, they played the juniors together, they worked well together.
We've talked about that. We've talked about that. I don't think that's out of the possibility. You know, you think about our team. You got Braden Kim, who's a terrific player in the middle, and you got Justin Daniels, who's obviously a quality guy, and then you've got Steve Silva. This is good center. You know, who's going to play with who? I don't know. They're all talented. I don't know if we're going to have a third line. I think we're going to have more of a 3 first or second line.
And those Daniels twins put on, as you said, a lot of weight this summer. Did you talk to them about that? Was that something they wanted to do to try to get bigger for this year?
Yeah, we talked about the development. I mean, they got very good minds. They got good sense. I think they understand the game really well. But you know, and it's not all about weight. You have to be strong too. But they just were getting sometimes moved off of pucks they shouldn't have. And I think that was represented or reflected their lack of strength and weight.
Coach, you mentioned Tyler McNeely and Wade McLeod. What are you expecting from them senior season? Are you hoping to see them step up a lot this year?
Yeah, I think the best part about those two guys is I think they're really determined. Somebody asked me how we felt about finishing ninth. I think we're all upset, but I know those two guys, it's their last kick of the game, so to speak. They want to be successful.
This year in net, obviously you talked about Chris Rawlings being a little bit more mature, getting through some of the freshman troubles he had last year. But you guys have two other guys that seem to be pretty capable. I haven't seen play. I don't know how much you've seen play, but obviously those guys, he had some good years coming in before you guys.
Yeah, I mean obviously Chris comes back with experience. I think the fact that Clay's played a lot of games in a great league is going to really help in terms of giving Ryan Mountain support. Goaltending depth.